Right now. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? It's another week of Just a Fan Podcast. I am your quarter host, the NFL Encyclopedia, the Wildcat quarterback that runs this thing, Coach Williams. That direction, coming straight out of his second favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals, home.
Yeah, I'm behind enemy lines, bro.
Yeah, he's behind enemy lines.
He's
behind enemy lines.
So when I got here, I had my 49ers shirt on. we crossed in the Phoenix city limits. I had my 49ers shirt on. So, yeah, I dare somebody say something. Say something. I dare you, say something.
Say so. What's up, Pando?
You ain't gonna like it. Yeah, because I'm the good guy with the black hat. Yeah.
What's up, Pando?
Man, it's good, man. As you can tell, I'm shooting from I'm on location. I'm not in the man cave shooting tonight, but we ready to talk some football. We are in the 7th week of our 8-week series, covering all divisions in the NFL and our predictions for the season based on what is going on in the offseason with free agency and the draft. We still got one more week left. We had a guest. He fell through. So it's just me and Brandon tonight. But if you are an NFC West fan, that's what we covering next week.
Yes.
If you are an NFC West fan and you like to be on the show, hit us up in our social media. The link tree is located on
Instagram.
We're on. You can instant message us on YouTube, Facebook,
Twitter,
any of those. Hey, I want to be on the show, especially if you're a content creator, because we'll push your content and you push ours. You come on, we can debate about football. So tonight we're covering the AFC West. This is the division that has the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs in it, and it's going to be some shaking up this season. And we feel like some stuff is going to be status quo.
Yes,
some other stuff that could shake up. And before we get into it, I'd like to say rest in peace to Ryan Mallett, who tragically lost his life today in a drowning incident. And much love and prayers go up to his family.
Yes.
But it's tragic. He was only 35 years old.
Yes.
But
he was a former backup quarterback to Tom Brady.
Yeah, came out of the University of Arkansas, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So prayers up to his family, and let's get the show rolling.
All right. Those Razorbacks. All right, on a lighter note. All right, so AFC West. And remember, guys, we are ranking these teams with no records, 4 through 1, and number 4 to me is obvious. Well, in my opinion, it's obvious. Unfortunately, it's the Las Vegas. Well, I'm not gonna say unfortunately because I have no dog in the fight, but it's the Las Vegas Raiders. And
no, it's unfortunate. Oh hell yeah, it's unfortunate.
So let's. I mean, so much can be said about this team. First of all, the head coach, I think, has already shown. Well, he's showing himself again because he was in the AFC West before with the Denver Broncos as head coach, and showed that he was not a capable head coach. So now, I think, honestly, this should be his last season. It may not be just because, it's only going to be 2 years, but you never know. especially if things don't work in our locker room and amongst coaching staff. But I just don't see Josh McDaniel. I wouldn't keep Josh McDaniels after the season. That's my personal opinion. I wouldn't have hired him anyway, but okay.
Let me tell you something. What's the name of that stadium they play in?
Reliance Stadium.
No, not Reliant.
I'm
It's
sorry. What's the name of that stadium?
I don't know, but it's a very expensive stadium. It's a new stadium.
Oh yeah,
And then they got it.
and hold on. It's not even just a stadium. Look what city you're in. You're in Vegas.
You making my point for me. Thank you. But they got to put butts in the seats and to pay for this stadium.
That's what they
Allegiant.
want.
Thank you, dear. Thank you, honey. But yeah, they got to be on. They got to put butts in the seats, and in order to put butts in the seats, you got to win.
Yes.
Because the late great Al Davis used to say, "What? Just
Win, baby. Just win."
Okay.
And the thing is, he also had another slogan, which was commitment to excellence. And
I don't
honestly,
see it.
right
Right now, it's a commitment to mediocrity.
Actually, look, let's keep it 100. After John Gruden was no longer coaching the Raiders the first time around when they lost
The Super Bowl.
when they lost Super Bowl to Tampa Bay, they have not done much of anything, if anything at all. So, but coming back here coming back to present, Josh McDaniel's not it. Mark Davis now has failed with 2 head coaches.
He's failed with his barber as well. Have you seen that man's haircut? Like if you're gonna have a haircut like that, at least you can make good decisions about personnel on your team and your coaching staff. That's all I'm saying.
And I get it. But now, you let go Derek Carr, who's in New Orleans, who's going to make that team better. You bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, who's Eric's favorite quarterback of all time.
You know how I feel about that.
But
that's the linchpin for their future ineptitude right there.
Yeah, but when signing Garoppolo, a strange thing happened. There was no press conference. And the reason why there was no press conference is because he failed a physical.
Yep.
And it has something to do with his foot.
Mm-hmm.
So now, because of that, he has a waiver, which is called Addendum G. I'm looking at the article right now. And I'm gonna read a little bit of this. The addendum notes that Garoppolo acknowledges he would not be able to pass a team's physical due to the pre-existing injury. It continues to say that Garoppolo acknowledges and assumes the risk of further injury, including permanent disability. The most significant nugget of information that comes out of this addendum is when it states that the Raiders can terminate the agreement for any reason related to the waiver and release attached as Addendum G. So far, Vegas can get from Garoppolo's contract if this injury continues to be a thorn in the quarterback's side, creating the possibility for him to never take a snap for the franchise. So, if this foot, and I'm not going to read the rest of it, but if his foot does not get any better, this man may not be the starting quarterback, and their starting quarterback will be Brian Hoyer.
So again, this is why we have the Raiders at number 4.
Yes.
But here's another thing that a lot of people not considering as well. You're bringing in an injury-prone, highly erratic Jimmy Garoppolo, and before anybody comes on here and say, "Well, Jimmy Garoppolo did this, that, and the third in San Francisco," I'm gonna say it like I've said in previous shows. Jimmy Garoppolo was not driving the vehicle toward San Francisco's success. He rode in the back seat eating chips, listening to the radio. Okay. He went for the ride. It was the offense that he was in, and it basically made him look better than what he actually was. Now, to be fair, I'm going to give him a little bit of credit because before he got to San Francisco, he was in New England, and Josh McDaniels was his offensive coordinator, and he had success during the Brady suspension.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Okay, Jimmy Garoppolo is a mediocre to above average quarterback.
And
And
he's already maxed out. He's reached his ceiling.
he has reached his ceiling. You're not going to get no more out of him. The
Nope.
best you're going to get out of Jimmy Garoppolo is basically what you saw the year the 49ers went to the Super Bowl, 2019. And in that particular year, he was still suspect. He rolled off of the defense and the running game. So now, let's talk about the reasons why they're last place, and they're going to be last place. Josh McDaniels is a questionable play caller.
Thank you.
Okay, number one. He's not going to call plays to protect Garoppolo the way that Shanahan did.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Number two, Josh Jacobs is like, hey man, I might hold out. So there's your running game. Because you could have put the running game, the offense on Josh Jacobs' back.
Yes.
Have a lot of high efficiency throws to him. He's a good receiver out of the backfield. That might have helped out a little bit. But now he's talking about holding out. They got to get that deal done. And then number three, this is the one a lot of people are not thinking about. Jared Stidham. Hey, Tristan, hi. Why don't you come on the show? Hey. Okay. Jared Stidham is no longer, who's a very capable backup, is no longer in Las Vegas. So you don't really have a plan B at quarterback. And don't say Brian Hoyer. Anybody that says Brian Hoyer, I'm sorry. You please stop. Please stop. Okay. So you don't have a viable quarterback solution in Las Vegas. And everything starts off the quarterback. This is the quarterback-driven league.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I'm saying that let's say Garoppolo's foot turns out to be fine. It's still questionable. He's still a questionable quarterback. And then he's also injury prone.
Yes.
So even if it may be his foot today, but it could be his elbow tomorrow. It could be his shoulder tomorrow. It could be his pinky finger on his throwing hand tomorrow. It could be his pinky toe. We don't know. Okay. So that's the issue. You're putting all your eggs in one basket by letting Jared Stidham walk, which they could have signed him for a nominal fee and got him back because he'd have been a great insurance policy.
Yes.
You bring in a mediocre to above average quarterback to your team to be the starter who's injury prone, and then you let a very capable backup walk. And let's talk about the other losses because this is number 4. Darren Waller, you let him go. Foster Moreau, you let him go. Those are 2 tight ends. Now, yes, I know they brought in O.J. Howard and Austin Hooper, and they also drafted Mike Mayer out of
Notre Dame.
But first of all, Mike Mayer, let's take him out the equation. He's a rookie. You know how I feel about rookies. We don't know what rookies are going to be. Just because they were drafted high, we don't know what they're going to be. He might be a dog, but he could be a bust.
Exactly.
But you got O.J. Howard and Austin Hooper, which, again, if you go back and you study Jimmy Garoppolo's statistics, most of his passes when he was in San Francisco was made to the tight end, George Kittle, or his running backs out the backfield. That was his high efficiency passing came to those guys. Jimmy Garoppolo needs quality tight ends to play well. Okay. Rocky Sin, I already talked about Jared Stidham, but you let Denzel Perryman walk. Denzel Perryman, I believe, left and went to Denver, if I'm not mistaken. No, did he go to the?
I forgot where Perryman went.
But I'm gonna put it like this: there's more that has left the Raiders building that has come in.
And let me say this too:
they lost more than they gained.
Let me say this as well about the Raiders, and then we're gonna move on to number 3 at some point in a couple minutes. Outside of Crosby, who is a threat on defense? Because Chandler Jones took a serious step back last year, and unless you expected him to bounce back, Crosby is it.
Now, in the interest of fairness, I'm gonna give you this. So you have Chandler Jones, who's
right,
he's falling off. You have Max Crosby, who's the dog. He's supposed to be the alpha dog pass rusher.
Yes.
They brought in. They let Clelin Ferrell walk, which he wasn't productive at all. He wound up with my team, which I'm mad we spent money on him. But They also gained Jordan Willis from the 49ers, who was like he's a 6 to 7 sack type of guy who's a
Okay.
great rotational piece. So to give them credit for that, I'm gonna give them a little credit for that.
Yeah, but
You know,
I'm looking at the linebacker room. I'm not liking it at all. I don't know who's who. The DBs. I heard of Nate House, but he's probably like a number 2 or number 3 corner.
it's not impressive. The secondary is not very impressive,
Tra-
except for the addition of Marcus Epps from Philadelphia, who
Trayvon Morrick. I mean, what has he done since he's been? I mean,
not very
I'm
much.
not. I'm not. I don't like their defense at all. Outside of really Crosby, like I said, Chandler Jones took a step back, but I mean, if he doesn't bounce back, forget it. It's Crosby or nothing. And
And you gotta have a good defense when you look at what they're up against in this division.
just the division
And
alone.
the other three teams in this division who they'll move the ball. They will move the ball on you. And they move the ball on good defenses. What you gonna do when your defense is subpar? So yeah. So that's why I have the Las Vegas Raiders at 4 and missing the playoffs and probably drafted in the top 5 maybe. And also have Josh McDaniels probably getting canned at the end of the year.
Well, he needs to be. And I tell you what, you need a head coach. Call me.
Hey man,
What?
who am I doing this podcast with, man?
You got Tristan and Steve.
Well, okay.
Hey, look,
Moving
man.
on.
Hey, look. Tell them cats to give me a call. Hey, look. I coach the Raiders. We're going to the Super Bowl. Porsche, if you can hear me, I know you're a Raiders fan. If the Raiders hire me as head coach, you get ready to go to the Super Bowl, girl. Get ready to go to the Super Bowl.
She working right now.
I know she's working, but she gonna hear it eventually. Oh wait a minute, here you go, right here. she know we're going to Super Bowl. She know once I become head coach, we're going to Super Bowl. She knows. So anyway, number 3. Who you got number 3?
Okay, before I say my 3 and my 2, these are interchangeable based on a couple of variables. But right now, gun to my head, my number 3, and this is gonna shock a lot of people, are the LA Chargers.
Yes, I agree.
That's my number 3. I don't trust Brandon Staley as a coach. Oh, look what the captain drug in.
We got some feedback.
Oh,
Hey, T, I muted you because you got feedback right now, man. But get yourself together, man.
so yeah, I have the LA Chargers as number 3.
Yeah,
Same rationale because not about the quarterback. Because I still believe in the quarterback. I don't trust the coaching. And they lost Drew Tranquil, DeAndre Carter, Troy Reader. They brought in Eric Kendricks, okay. But
he's getting older, isn't he?
yes, that's the thing. And I just can't. Staley reminds me a lot of Kyle Shanahan on a lower level. He makes really bad decisions in crunch time. When he could win the game, he does something erratic. He makes some kind of really crazy decision that costs his team either a playoff berth or a win in the playoffs. And we talked about it off camera, but I think he might be one of the first coaches to get fired before the season ends in 2020.
Agreed.
He could very well get fired before the season is over. But their receivers there. You got Austin Eckler. You have pieces to win, but I just don't trust the coaching.
Well,
I like Justin Herbert. I love a lot of
I like
people
this
down.
one too.
They down on him, but I still believe in him.
Some people I think are judging Herbert unfairly. I never forget his rookie year when Pep Hamilton was his quarterback coach, and Tyrod Taylor had that medical failure at the last second, and Herbert had to come in there and play quarterback, and he was fantastic for the remainder of the season. And I think he can still do that, but he needs the right offensive play caller for him.
Now,
And
didn't they make some changes to their offensive coaching staff this
yes, they did. They
offseason?
brought in Kellen Moore to be the offense coordinator from Dallas.
Ooh,
Um, I'm gonna get on down in a minute.
okay. Cause
Here's
yeah,
a
go ahead and expound on that. I'm gonna listen to that because
give me a second because there's a couple of things I want to mention. Brandon Staley is a defensive minded head coach. He comes from the Vic Fangio tree. And my thing is with the defensive talent that he has, even though some of them have been injured, some of the players have been injured, like Derwin James. I think Bosa's been injured off and on. To be a Fangio guy, man, you haven't really done much as a head coach. Like you was good with the Rams and on defense, but I'm starting to say, hey, Aaron Donald made you who you was. Now, of course, Aaron Donald makes almost anybody, but but I mean, even with like a Derwin James or Joey Bosa, um, you know, you just haven't really done much with that defense. So I'm not feeling him as head coach as running that defense. Um, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I mean, yeah, they're the receivers, but they don't stay healthy. You drafted a receiver, Quentin Johnson from TCU, who
I don't
is
trust his hands.
well. I was just going to say that he's tall, 6'3", fast, but his hands is like made out of baby oil, man. It's like so. Um, the LA, you know what? The LA Chargers are almost going to be like the LA Rams last year, where they're going to need angels in the outfield, man. I mean, the LA Chargers going to have to go. They're going to have to do one. They're going to do one of these numbers right here, man. So, um, yeah, they're in trouble. As a team, Kellen Moore is Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan 2.0. And what I mean is, yeah, you run a good system, but one, you piss off wide receivers because Jason Garrett pissed off T.O., Dez Bryant, and Amari Cooper, and Kellen Moore pissed off Amari Cooper. Um, you always talking about system over players. Cowboys have been running that system off and on for the last 20 years. They've ran it for 16 years. I actually thought about that today. Air Coryell offense at its best is when they have their Hall of Fame players or borderline or all pro players healthy. Okay. Aikman, Emmett, Irvin, um, Phillip Rivers, Vincent Jackson, Antonio Gates, LaDaina Tomlinson, T.O., Dez Bryant, Marion Barber, DeMarco Murray. I'm just running off the names. But if you don't have the players out there on the field in that offense, it is not as efficient. And like I said, I've seen this offense for 16 out of 20 years, last 20 years for the Cowboys, and I know when it's clicking and when it's not. And last year definitely wasn't clicking because you just didn't have the players, especially at wide receiver.
Well,
So,
let me interject right there.
okay, go ahead.
Advocate because personnel wise, if everybody's healthy, let's be honest, Chargers do have the personnel. They got studs at those positions. The issues have been health.
Now that is true, but see, that's the thing. It's health. So you rely on these guys to stay healthy for 17 games. I'm not saying they're not going to play 17 games this year, but history has not been on their side.
Okay.
So
I know. Well, when you brought up Kellen Moore, I just know because again, I live in Texas and I'm around a bunch of Cowboy fans, and most Cowboy fans absolutely hate Kellen Moore.
yeah,
And so when you say Kellen Moore is the OC, he's going to be the play caller and for the Chargers, it's like okay. That right there is one of the reasons why I have them at third in division.
yeah. I mean, so it's not so much the players, especially if they're healthy. It's the overall coaching because defensively is Brandon Staley, who hasn't done much as a Vic Fangio disciple, and then your offensive coordinator is Kellen Moore, and I'm like, you want me to believe in the Chargers? So,
So Tristan, Yeah,
What's up,
because
Bishop?
we was about to swing it over to you. Give us your fourth team in the West and your third team and the reasons why. We'll just hand it over to you since you came in late.
Well, as far as the fourth team's concerned, I don't really. We know it's the Raiders. We know it's the Raiders, and we know the reason that's the Raiders. Josh McDaniels is a trash head coach. They're gonna run Josh Jacobs to the ground. They don't have no adequate quarterback to help Devontae Adams. He's probably gonna want to trade before the trade deadline's over with. So that part we know already. Three is the Chargers, but I don't think Kellen Moore is going to be the problem. I think the problem is still going to be with Staley. I think Kellen Moore has been held back a little bit being with the Cowboys under McCarthy and Garrett. And when you watch how he was at Boise State, when he played QB at Boise State, his creativity is different. It's different. Hold on, let me try and fix the audio. I'll be back.
All right. Okay, so Tristan also is on the same page with us. He's got Raiders at 4 and the Chargers at 3.
Yeah, he
Uh,
just feels different about Kellen Moore on offense.
okay,
And
well,
granted, he was a very, very smart quarterback at Boise State. I just my thing is if Garrett Linehan and Kellen Moore are all doing pretty much the same thing and the receivers are complaining about it, then I feel like it's Kellen Moore. I don't think Kellen Moore's held back.
yeah, I kind of differ with that, and then I also go with because they always have that saying is like those who can't do teach, but I feel the opposite way because I'm a teacher, so I feel like those who can't teach do. Uh, so what I mean by that, yes, he was a good quarterback at Boise State, but that doesn't necessarily mean it translates to him being a good coach.
Right.
So yeah, because I know plenty of good coaches who weren't the best players. So there's a lot of guys who know football better than the guys who actually played the game.
Well, and the team who I got at number 2, their head coach was a camp arm in Chicago back in the 80s.
And I know where you're going with that because and I agree. And
He
I
was
absolutely agree.
he was and for people who don't know what a camp arm is pretty much a 4th-string quarterback in training camp.
You're basically going to get cut. If you're lucky, you wind up on the practice squad. But for the most part, you throwing balls to the tight ends and the running backs
Yeah.
during drills and stuff like that.
Now, every so often, now once in a blue moon, you might get a Kurt Warner who was a camp arm in Green Bay, but
I got 2 words for you, Camp Arm. Brock Purdy.
there you go.
Brock Purdy was not, and that's spoiler alert. We're talking about NFC West. We'll get into it later, but let's be real. Brock Purdy was not drafted to wind up to be the starter for the San Francisco 49ers. He was drafted to be a camp arm.
Well, you know what? Let's go back to that head coach who was in Dallas as on the offensive staff. He found Tony Romo, and Romo started off as a camp arm in 2003.
Yes.
2003. So
Y'all can hear me
anyway,
better
my
now.
new huh
Y'all hear me better now.
a
Yeah,
little bit, but you got some buzz in the back somewhere in the system. You got some buzzing noise in the system. So, but anyway, let's go to number 2.
So yeah,
Um,
my number 2 is the Denver Broncos. I think that Sean Payton, that camp arm we were talking about, who was with
that
the
was in
Chicago
Chicago.
Bears, that came from East Illinois. That's Sean Payton. That's who we were talking about, and
Yep.
he's a quarterback whisperer.
Yes.
And if anybody can get Russell Wilson's career back on track, I'll put my money on Sean Payton.
I do too. And
And
go ahead.
and here's the thing: he's got an eye for quarterbacks. What did he do? Just in case Russell Wilson is actually washed, he went and got Jared Stidham
Yes.
from the Raiders. So
Yes.
you dealt a double blow to your division opponents by one, removing their contingency plan for quarterback from them, and then creating a contingency plan for yourself. So that was a smart move within itself. You know, Then you look at the draft. They went and picked up Marvin Mims to play slot receiver. We've already had this discussion about Denver's wide receiver core. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy,
Tim
Tim
Patrick.
Patrick is going to be back from his ACL. So now you're adding Marvin Mims, who the jury's out on, because if you look at his film, you can't tell whether it's him getting open like that or if it's the scheme when he was in Oklahoma that was getting him open. But you're asking him to be the fourth wide receiver. You're not asking him to do anything special his rookie season. They went and got J.L. Skinner from Boise State. He's a wrecking ball. And then, oh, God, this is a kid I love to death watching his film scouting in the draft. Riley Moss, defensive back out of Iowa.
Okay.
This guy, he was a corner in Iowa, but he translates to safety. So now you got a deep ball safety with cornerback skills.
Well, that's good. That's good. No, that's good because now you're gonna pair him up with Justice Simmons back there.
Yes, and then you already got Pat Surtain, so your secondary is going to be strong. Your defense is looking really solid, and you got a strong wide receiver core. And now you have a coach who can potentially revitalize a career of Russell Wilson. So
But not just that. He's going to change the culture in that locker room. Period.
yeah,
Let's be honest, because he has a lot of Bill Parcells in him, and what he did in New Orleans. I mean, that culture was on point. Okay.
he also brought in. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at who all they brought in. It's like you brought in Frank Clark from Kansas City. So again, you're hurting your division opponent a little bit, and you're helping yourself.
Yeah, they got pass rushers.
Yeah, so I'm telling you right now, I could be wrong about all of this, but I really feel like Denver could make the playoffs next year and quite possibly put Kansas City on notice. Now, let me be clear. I got Denver as my number 2.
Yes.
But they have all of the guns in place to where they may give Kansas City a run.
Yeah, of course.
And
Denver is definitely at 2.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're all on the same page here with Denver being number 2. Just from a coaching standpoint, just from that.
Yes.
Denver. They say Denver has entered the chat. Denver has entered the chat.
Yes. No, they really have.
Talking about being a playoff team in the AFC, which is a very, very tough AFC team. And like I said, it couldn't make Kansas City work for the division. Kansas City hadn't had to work for the division for a while. They like easy money. Like you work the night shift at Marble Slab Creamery. You just sitting there working security. Ain't nobody finna rob an ice cream parlor. You know what I'm saying? It's like they have basically just been, they've been kind of just cruising through the division. But
Yeah, they really have.
I think Denver's going to make them work a little bit. Now, I still got Kansas City winning it.
Same here.
But they may have to work a little bit with Sheriff Sean Payton's in town.
Yeah. So, and the reason why he's a quarterback whisperer is because he took a Kerry Collins to the Super Bowl, and granted they got demolished by the Ravens in 2000. He got Quincy Carter to the playoffs with 16 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. He developed Tony Romo, and Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer. So Russell Wilson should be able to rebound with no problems in Denver under Sean Payton. Well, and Sean Payton will put Russell Wilson in the best position to succeed.
Well, yeah, all the pressure's on Russell Wilson.
Of course it is.
This is the scenario to see. Okay, Russell, are you washed or are you not washed? Because this is what's going to tell you. Sean Payton, you have all the tools. You got the weapons in the offense. They bolstered your offensive line.
Yes.
That rookie running back, he was good last year. He was fine. So he's only going to improve. Sean Payton over there, they improved defensively. So yeah, it's sink or swim for him.
It pretty much is.
Yeah, I think that we tend to give Russell the benefit of the doubt because we've seen what he's done in the past in his career. You look at who his coach was last year, you look at what Russell Wilson is, and you're like, okay, maybe it was a coach. But now, all
There's
bets
no
are off.
excuses. No excuses.
You have no excuses because we just brought in a Super Bowl winning coach who has produced top level offenses.
Right. It's not like you brought in Scott Linehan.
Yeah, you brought in you didn't bring in Jimmy Ray or somebody like that. You didn't bring in who's it? Jack Cole in Baltimore.
Who's the
Greg Roman. Yeah, you didn't bring in that guy. Yeah, we brought in Sean Payton. Wait a minute, you already had a great receiving core. We're gonna bolster that. We're gonna draft a guy. We're gonna bring in another guy who knows Sean Payton's offense in Callaway from New Orleans. Then we're gonna bolster the defense. We're gonna bring in Samaj P. Ryan to spell your starting running back.
Yes.
You have the horses in your stable. Broncos country, let's ride. You got plenty of horses. So at this point, like Tristan said, I absolutely 100% unequivocally agree with him on this. It's all on Russell Wilson this season.
Yes, it is.
Because he has no excuse. Dare I say it, he probably has a better roster. And somebody might get some pushback on this, but I don't care, because I'm the good guy with the black hat. But dare I say it, he's probably got a better roster than some of his Seattle teams he's been on this year. He's probably got a better roster and better coaching.
Post Legion of Boom, yeah.
Yeah. He's
definitely post Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
Post Legion of Boom, this is probably the best roster he's had in a long time.
So, there's no excuse. At this point, there is no excuse. They got to make the playoffs at least. Nobody's making lofty expectations on Denver saying, hey, you need to win the division and beat Kansas City because, Jesus. Kansas City's a freaking buzzsaw. But
you just got to pencil Kansas City for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
As the division champions.
Yeah. But to be able to run with them and to get them a game, and then you get in there with the rest of the AFC, who knows what could happen. But they should be able to get the wild card, make the playoffs, and then see what happens then.
Yeah. There's a strong possibility they can get the number 6 or 7 seed.
This year is about just getting in the tournament. If they get into the tournament, it's a win for them this season.
Definitely.
That's a win. Even if they get in and get booted out the first round, the fact that they got in is a win considering where they were last year.
I agree.
Yeah, considering where they were last year.
And of course, we all know who's number 1, Kansas City Chiefs.
What more can you say?
I mean, look.
It's just
you start with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and you just
at this point you just plug and play.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, and the thing is that they everything that they lost, they came back around and found reasonable replacements for.
Yes,
without hurting the cap too bad.
They have 4 rookies playing the Super Bowl as starters. 4.
See?
As starters in the Super Bowl.
But and see that I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say being a rookie, being able to play the Super Bowl, the biggest game in the NFL where you under the most pressure, and you're playing with a team that's been to Super Bowl. That was their 3rd Super Bowl appearance. They ended up winning the 2nd. Now that's major growth for them heading to their 2nd year for those 4 guys. I mean, now a regular season game for them is almost nothing.
It's nothing.
Because they were on the biggest stage with the brightest of all brightest lights.
Yeah.
And to play devil's advocate, some people might say, well, they lost Mecole Hardman and they lost Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't care. You know why? Because Andy Reid's their head coach. Andy Reid takes just regular guys who play wide receiver and makes them household names.
Todd Pinkston.
Exactly.
Freddie Mitchell.
Exactly. So,
James Thrash.
You can say, oh, well, they lost Mecole and he was, he's a gadget guy. They lost Juju and he's a great possession guy. Fine. Bye. They lost Tyreek Hill.
Guess what? They replaced Mecole Hardman already with Kadarius Toney. They're expecting some things out of Kadarius Toney. And
and the rookie from last year,
Sky Moore.
Sky Moore.
Yeah, Sky
Yes.
Moore. So
I think
They-
Sky Moore is going to fall into the role that Juju had.
Yep,
And I think Kadarius Toney is going to fall into the role that Miko Hardman had.
yep. And
Basically.
and Sky Moore played big in the Super Bowl. The whole
See?
year he was quiet until the Super
Mhm.
Bowl, and then he wanted to show up.
This is an example of really good personnel management. As long as you got your quarterback,
yes,
Okay, everything else after that, that's good personnel management.
got that.
We're not gonna spend a whole lot of money. Then you got a quarterback who's unselfish because he's gone on record as saying, I'm gonna make all the money I'm gonna make in my life. I'm fine. I don't need to make any more money. I'd rather take less money to make sure that the guys around me are paid so we can keep doing this. We can keep
The
winning.
Tom Brady formula.
Yep.
And so that's a dangerous formula when you got a quarterback with that mentality that plays on the level that he plays at, and then has that mentality where it's like, I'll take $10 million less to make sure this edge rusher get paid.
And
think
Make sure this guard gets paid.
I think what people are not understanding of why we're saying this the way we're saying this about Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes hasn't peaked. He ain't peaked yet.
That's
Like
true.
he's still learning to play the position with his brain.
Because you got to remember, Kingsbury was his coach in college, so he
That's
didn't
what I'm
have a whole
saying.
lot.
Like
Well,
this is-
now, hold on. From what I understand, he didn't play that many games in high school or college at all. It's not just Kingsbury not being his head coach. He only played like 20 games in college, 15 games in high school at quarterback.
he's literally learning how to play quarterback on the fly.
Yes.
And has already been an MVP, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. Listen, y'all. Listen. The man ain't even 30. He ain't peaked yet. He ain't peaked yet. There's another level he can get to.
I agree.
Like
I agree.
we probably haven't seen anything quite like it since John Elway. Someone that physically gifted. I mean, I can't even say Andrew Luck because it didn't last that long. John Elway is probably the last time we've seen it. Physical tools with the IQ to go with it.
The football IQ. Yeah.
By the way, Mahomes turns 28 in September.
My God.
Turns 28.
Huh?
Turns 28.
Turns 28 in September. Turns 28.
Been to 3 Super Bowls, won 2 of them.
He's already a Hall of Famer. Like his jacket's already ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this, even if he doesn't get any better, he's still the best quarterbacks in the league. And he's going to get better. He's going to get better. That's the scary part.
Especially with Andy Reid. Look at what Andy Reid did for Donovan McNabb when Donovan came out of Syracuse. Look what he did for Michael Vick's second go around in the league.
Yes.
Look what he did for Alex Smith. He's never had this kind of weapon.
Look.
He's never had this kind of weapon.
Look. He was making guys like Kevin Cobb look better than what they were.
Yes.
At quarterback.
Yes.
University of Houston. Yep.
Matt Castle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Doug. Well, I don't know. No. I'm sorry. Doug Peterson, Green Bay. Shoot. Who else he had? Oh, he also had Jeff Garcia for a little bit in Philadelphia.
So it's
to be fair, Jeff Garcia was kind of a dog already before.
Well, he was, but
dog,
now here's the only pushback I got with Garcia. The only little bit of pushback. If he was not in a West Coast offensive system, he was all right, but he wasn't as good.
No, he's a system guy.
Yeah.
But he thrived in that system.
Oh, he definitely thrived in that system.
Yeah.
It's just Andy Reid never got this kind of toy. And then you put this in his hand and he's just like, oh yeah, watch what I do.
Okay, here's the play design, but if you want to go off schedule, I trust you to make plays.
I trust you with it.
Yeah. If you want to get off schedule and make plays, you can. So
when he said that he really didn't understand defenses until the second full season. So that means your 50 touchdown, 5,000 yard season, you wasn't reading defenses. You was just going.
You just going on the fly. On the fly.
Come on, man.
And then had a maturity to decide to go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and study. Unlike somebody like we know that's in Arizona, that I'm gonna just go off of my ability and not study the
And now
game.
and now, unlike Arizona, unlike Buffalo, he understands that he doesn't have to be Superman all day.
There you go. If the plays are there, I'll make them. If not, I'll do what I can. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna be safe, but I'm gonna be spectacular while being safe.
I mean, I'm not trying to gloss over him, but I just need people to really understand. Like there was a game where someone had max coverage, all his receivers was tied up. My man he spun out, broke off like a 40-yard run. The commentator was like, "Oh yeah, we forgot he could run too." Like that's how good he is throwing the football.
Yes,
And
you forget that he can run.
you forget he can run. Like this is I'm telling you, from me, and I'm really thinking about it. I'm really thinking about it hard to make sure I'm not being a prisoner of the moment. I really don't think not this complete since John Elway. And the only reason why I can't say Andrew Luck is because Andrew Luck did not, unfortunately, because of Jim Irsay, screw you, Jim Irsay, but unfortunately just did not get to do it this long. Because I think Andrew Luck would have been this way.
No, he would have been.
Had a better system.
Oh,
I believe that Andrew Luck is a modern football tragedy.
He really is.
He just, man, not to get off subject, but yeah, he could have been that great if he hadn't had such bad management around him. And that's what Pat Mahomes has, is he's not only has a good coach, but he also has good team management that's putting
great front office.
Yes,
I mean,
putting
it's
the
just
pieces around him.
because
So,
I know people will probably see this and they'll be like, well, what about Michael Vick? What about Brett Favre? I'm talking about complete package.
yes.
Where it don't matter what he does, it's dangerous. Whether he's running it, whether he's throwing it, it does not matter.
Michael Vick only had one perfect game, complete package game. That was
Exactly.
Mhm.
So it's just like this is John Elway's probably the closest bit where you had a guy that was so gifted of a thrower, but also a great athlete, an underrated athlete.
Yes.
So it's just like, I mean, again, he's turning 20. You said it. He's turning 28 in October. He has not peaked. He has not. We don't know what the best look like yet of him. We ain't seen it. We ain't seen it. And with Andy Reid still coaching, and he probably gave Andy Reid a few more years before retirement, honestly. Because Andy Reid's probably looking at it like, retire for what?
Andy Reid,
look what I got.
Look. Not only does Patrick Mahomes have a gold jacket waiting for him, Andy Reid has a gold jacket waiting for him. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the general manager Brett Veach right now has a gold jacket waiting for him as well.
Yeah. I mean, Andy Reid, I would say Andy Reid probably had it before he even won his first Super Bowl, to be quite honest.
And that is true. But
when he won the first one, that was it. It was like,
definitely. But I mean, everything is just written in stone now.
Yeah. It's really tough because people will poo-poo what Kansas City does in the off seasons. Oh man, they let such and such walk, or they traded such and such. They not gonna be nothing, and they turn right around and still have a successful season.
Yes,
man. Listen,
and it's like that's good management. Like they do stuff like you watch somebody in a casino that's talking about hit me, and they got 18 at the blackjack table. You're like, hey man, what you doing? And then they pow 21, and it's like that's literally what the Chiefs do. Like, everybody thought they were nuts trading Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thought they were nuts. Mm-hmm. But who was playing in the big game at the end of the season without Tyreek Hill?
Yeah.
And I remember saying, hold on, I got to pat myself on the back. So I remember saying,
you said it. You said they'd be more dangerous.
Kansas City, they're more dangerous without Tyreek Hill.
Yes, you did. I remember you saying that.
They are more dangerous now without Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek Hill ain't taking nothing from him. He's a phenomenal player. But they had the consciousness of mind to realize, hey, we ain't got to break the bank to pay this guy. We can we can get something for him in draft picks.
Yes.
And we can still make it all the way to the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl.
All they looking at is, as long as Big Red got that headset on and 15 out there, they're not worried about nothing.
Nope.
Now watch. They fool around there and give up a 7th rounder for Trey Lance, and then he turns out to be great. Because the Niners are stupid, which is a preview of next week's show when we talk about the NFC West and the stupidity of the 49ers. We're going to get into that next week.
Hey, man, I remember Eric early on was saying, like, just wait. They're going to do something dumb.
Yes.
And lo and behold, I was like, oh, Eric was real right about
Somebody drafted a kick in the 3rd round.
Let me tell you something. And this is a preview for next week's show because next week we'll be covering the NFC West. If you'd like to be on our show as a guest next week, please let us know. But if you talking about putting Sam Darnold, now granted, Adam Schefter could just be talking out the side of his neck because he don't know. He wasn't at none of the OTAs. He just saying stuff. He ain't interviewed nobody. But if what he's saying is true, and they talking about having Sam Darnold ahead on the depth chart, ahead of Trey Lance, that's a problem. That's a problem. We know what Sam Darnold is.
We know.
We still don't know what Trey Lance is. Trey Lance
have no idea what Trey Lance is.
This man has started 4 games. And if you calling Trey Lance a bust after 4 games, you need to stop watching football. Just quit football. Don't play Madden. Don't watch football. Don't even go to the Pee Wee League game around the corner in the park from your house. Shut up. Don't say nothing else. If you could call somebody a bust after 4 games, one of them being in a torrential downpour, then yeah, you need to just stop. But I digress because this is next week. Because boy, I got some hot fire for y'all next week. That's my division.
Cornmeal.
Yeah,
hot grease.
I'm about to fry.
Grease.
Oh yes,
hot grease. Y'all get ready.
I'm about to fry up some people that's giving some other teams in the division way too much credit. Too, because we're gonna stop that madness right there. But that's been our show tonight. We just covered the AFC West. The last stop on our division tour is next week. And yes, you'll have time enough to go ahead and watch our show. And then once we go off the air, you can go pop some firecrackers, okay? So we'll be off in time where it'll be just dark enough for you to go outside where you can actually see the fireworks that you said no. Because there's going to be some fireworks on this show next week. And then we're going to have some fireworks. You can firework after that. But we'll be covering the NFC West. And we'll try to have a guest again. If you want to come on and be a guest on our show to talk about the NFC West, whether you are a Niners fan, whether you are first of all, what's
don't say that. Don't say that.
What's a Rams fan?
There's some Seahawks fans somewhere out there.
Okay, tell them bring it on, but don't come on here being stupid because I'm gonna fry them up. I got my grease and my cornmeal ready. So I'm in Phoenix right now. Yeah, hey, I'm gonna stick my head out the window and ask somebody they want to be on the show. They ain't got much to talk about. They ain't gonna win by 5 games.
I'm about to say, what a Cardinal fan gonna say?
With some new uniforms, just to get them dirty and toe up.
Man, look.
But yeah, so
y'all better ask Kurt Warner if he still got an arm on him.
Come on. Come on.
Y'all better go holler at your boy.
So yeah,
don't come from that booth. Come from that booth, Kurt. Come on.
So
yeah, you had one. You had one Hollywood story. You could go for 2.
Look. If you're gonna bring Kurt Warner back, you better give him an offensive line. I'm not saying he's trash or anything, but somebody need to protect that man and give him somebody to throw the football to, because who he gonna throw the football to? Hollywood Brown?
Yeah.
Old man AJ Green, old man Zach Ertz.
AJ Green is retired.
Oh well, who else you got to watch?
DeAndre Hopkins is still on his tour, trying to decide where he want to go,
where he want to play.
Yeah. So who you gonna bring in that wide receiver? Because right now, well,
I got an answer for who you can bring in at wide receiver, but I can't say it because we'll get demonetized.
I know you're gonna say.
Hey, go ahead, call it.
Got him.
No, Trisha, stop. Okay,
because you know I act a fool on this thing.
Tristan.
Hey, man.
Tristan, you are a godly man. We do not need Eric to say what he's going to say. Who should play wide receiver? Okay,
it's 2 of them.
No, stop.
Play X and wide receiver.
Stop.
They can be in a bunch formation or they can be split.
Eric, I'm gonna get you off the show.
I ain't saying nothing.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in. If you watch, make sure
Kurt Warner, come out of retirement, Kurt.
Kurt.
Let's see that number 13.
This says 2 over split formation on bunch.
This has been another episode
Hey,
of Just a Fan Podcast.
Look. 12 wide receivers.
Bunch formations. Okay.
Hey, look, stack formation too.
Somewhere you need to see a doctor if it's a stack formation. This has been another episode of Just a Fan Podcast. If you like football, look. I want to run the mesh concept. The mesh concept. Oh my God.
You mute Brandon. They talking about you mute Brandon.
But definitely
flood concept.
Brandon, stop. I'm trying to close the show out.
Yes, let Eric close the show, please.
My bad, y'all. My bad. Hey, look.
We're gonna try and create a Patreon so we can say what we want to say.
Oh, yeah. Hey, look. Hold on, guys. Hold on. All right. So, breathe. Guys, we would like to create a Patreon because if you really want to know what we're going to say, let's get some more subscribers.
Unfiltered and uncensored.
So that way we get a Patreon. We say whatever we want to say, and y'all can just laugh with us, okay? Now, thank you for listening to us on.
Then I'll tell you how I really feel about Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, Trish and Unfiltered is something different. Anyway, thank you for listening to us for another week of Just a Fan Podcast. Again, next week we're covering the NFC West. Today we have covered the AFC West. We are currently live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. You can follow us on IG, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. I say Instagram. Twitter, Facebook, IG, TikTok. Okay. And then you can also listen to us on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. So I, quarter host of the show, Coach Williams, the NFL Encyclopedia, and a Wildcat quarterback that runs this thing. That way, Panel 316.
I'm the good guy in the black hat.
The wild horse comes straight out of Texas, the Austin 316 of football. This man right here, Trish TV, I've said it once and I've said it before. He is the quarterback that runs this whole thing. Trust me and believe me. Matter of fact, just real quick, I was listening to an old show from last week. I was listening to an old show last week, and it was from last year around this time. I said that Tristan had revitalized us on YouTube, and he did. I remember saying that. And I remember saying that he's the quarterback of this thing. So I've been saying this for a whole calendar year. Tristan's the quarterback that runs this whole thing. Ladies and gentlemen, good night. See you next week.
Later.
Peace.